You're a lot of fun to talk to. This is
I
great.
think I have a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I think also I see a lot in you of myself just because I know how you think, but I don't know what you think. And it's important because I spent a lot of years in Hollywood. So I was around a lot of creative people, good, bad, and ugly. And
Well, I
no, no.
so you actually I didn't realize you were from South Africa.
Yeah,
Like,
let's talk about it. I have Ren Cummins with me right now, guys, and we're going to go into book number 2 of his. This is Tales of a Dead Man. Book 1 is Tales of a Dead Man, the hunt for this dead body to save the world. Earthos, thank you. This is Sun and Stone. Let's get into this. Ren had a good. Ren just realized I was from South Africa, so he's got something to share with us. What was that, Ren?
well, specifically because of the, like, this is a question I've had a few times about. I'm a white guy telling a story whose main character is a woman of color. In fact, the majority of the characters in the story tend to be people of color, and it's.
But that's awesome, though, Ren. I think you're changing it up. You're adding some variety. You're adding some character. But I was born in South Africa.
Yeah.
And my friends call me, dude, you're white. I'm like, yeah, dude. But I was born in the heart of Africa.
People didn't realize there's white people in South Africa.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by the irrationality of racism, and the fact that you can look at a person who has a different skin color and you can derive an enormous amount of confidence in your assessment of that person being a lesser person just because of their skin color, and that it horrifies me that we're still that simplistic, that we'll easily and effortlessly categorize an entire group of people just because they look different than us. And
really, Ren, it's a small few, but their small few have such a negative impact.
they have
Ren,
such a loud voice.
they do, because their small few are so ignorant. So I always say this: ignorance can be fixed. Stupidity lasts forever. And for some reason, in this world today, there's still stupid people because they have no idea the greatness that we live in today, the abundance, the vastness of creativity and freedom and joy and happiness and peace that we can enjoy. But that little select few, man, they ruin it for all of us.
They're just digging in their heels. They're just not going to budge. And they're depriving themselves of amazing opportunities to know some fantastic people.
I've had conversations with some of my friends before. I'm going to get into that after this because I want to tell you how transparent this is. And they came to me, they said, oh, you're this, you're that. I say, listen here, first of all, you have no clue what you're talking about. You actually should shut up because you sound so stupid. And I'm being very transparent with you, Ren, okay? So I say to people, if you've been to Africa or South Africa, let's have a conversation. Otherwise, I couldn't give a fuck what you have to say because you literally are the dumbest person in the world. Ren, I come to America. My pastor is African-American. I go to a church on a Sunday right now. My pastor is African-American. So please do me a favor. You're ignorant human being. You know what I'm talking about. And second of all, my cinematographer, my DP, and he's also my director, is African-American. So I have the most creative people, the most creative forces in my environment are my kind of people. My kind of people, not my color, my kind of people. Because I know how to love and respect them. And let me tell you what, my pastor changes my life. He's also a prophet, by the way. He can see into the future. Yes, he does. He sees into the future. And my director, Chris, the work that he delivers is out of this world. I mean, he's so creative. It's because I understand them. Ren, and I'm tired of explaining myself because it's not me. You put me in a department or put me in a box that you have. You're lost in oblivion, buddy. But as I get this all the time, Ren, and it's so sad. I have empathy for them because they don't know what they're saying, Ren.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I know, for example, I'm not able to, nor am I trying to tell the story of Black Americans in American history. That is not my story to tell, and I would never even try to step on it. But I do know that a lot of people who read science fiction and fantasy don't necessarily have that crack in their wall to see through to what is out there. And additionally, people who are Black, why don't they get to see their characters in books too?
Yeah,
Why would
I
you
think,
see people that
yeah,
look like them in books? Why can't they be the hero? Why can't they be the heroine?
yeah.
And I just wanted to flip everything and go, no, I'm going to tell a story that you probably haven't heard, especially from a guy who looks like me. So I wanted to just offer something different for that.
And what I like, Ren, is Ren, you're writing something that you want to write. Nobody's making you write the story.
Nope.
You're loving it. You're loving on the characters. You're developing the characters. You're building them in different arcs, in different plots and subplots of your stories. So nobody can really tell you how to do your work because they can't, because it's not theirs in the first place. So nobody can claim glory to your work. You're doing what you want to do, and that is why it's successful, because nobody has a stronghold over you or authority over you to tell you otherwise.
Yeah,
Tell us about this.
well, okay. So in the first book of the trilogy, it's going to be a trilogy. I'm working on book 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
The big mystery was what's happening to the world. Why is this world in danger, and what does this dead man have to do with it? Well, they found the dead man, and they're
Okay, nice, excellent.
so they're trying to move to the next step. Like, what is your relationship to this end of the world? And the extra question is, are you wanting the end of the world, or are you not wanting the end of the world? Because Favo, the dead man, he's kind of in it for himself. He's kind of liking the idea that he might live forever, even if there's a horrible cost to that.
Okay.
So I deal a lot with life and death. One of the main characters in this series of books, as with my original series, is an angel of death. And
awesome.
And so,
man, you're bringing magic all over the place, Ren.
Oh, all over
Goodness
the place.
me.
And they have a steam-powered airship, and there's giant robots. I mean,
that's awesome.
But I like to deal with some of those elements as well. Some of the like, I'm not trying to tell people what happens when you die. This is just a mythology that they can look at and go, that's an interesting way to talk about it. And so having one of the main characters have to be that entity, to be able to ferry people between the two worlds and to deal with the souls, was a really fun exploration to investigate. And the original concept was that they were vampire hunters, but I thought that was a bit too limiting, so I just made them full-on angels of death.
So I come from a very superstitious country. There's lots of superstition and lots of them. You should maybe, Ren, just for your own curiosity, and maybe if you can have to me, I always say to people, at least visit South Africa once. At least in South Africa, we don't have malaria and some crazy diseases and so forth that you have in Central and Northern Africa, because it's very primitive up there. Not really that it should be, but there's also a lot of unrest. At least Southern Africa is decent. It's not the best, but it's decent. So we have lots of folk stories, lots of really fascinating, interesting stories. So maybe if you can, go do some research on some folk stories in Southern Africa, and what the Bushmen would share to their children and so forth, because they're very animated, yet very creative. You'll be inspired, you will. And I think that it will fuel your desire to write even more creative content, because creative stories and content.
You were asking me before in a different interview about writing what you know. And I think it's a component of that. I think the idea of being a storyteller is not just being a storyteller, but also having other people tell you stories and learning from the experiences that they have, and kind of gathering all of these nuggets of wisdom and experience and imagination. And those are some of the components that end up deriving new stories. My wife, she has a very, very important role in my writing, which is that she wakes up.
I know who the boss is. I know the boss is Ren.
Yeah. She wakes up at 2:00 in the morning from weird dreams, wakes me up, tells me the strange dream, and goes right back to bed.
Wow.
Now I have to figure out what to do with that nugget. And so I keep a pad of paper. I used to keep a pad of paper, and I just have my phone.
That's Steven Spielberg. He has a pen and paper but he's known to do that, yeah. I
used to do that with pads of paper, but what would happen is I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't read my own blind handwriting.
Right.
So I was like, it's not going to work. So I would just jot the idea down on my phone, and I'd wake up in the morning like, whoa, I don't remember writing that. That's really kind of cool.
Right, exactly.
So I've had some great short stories come up with her bad dreams. So I will always be grateful for that.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. We come from the same background. You in music, I was in fashion. So also creative mind. That's why I went to Hollywood. And then I spent 16 years in film, because I couldn't make it in the fashion industry there, because there really isn't one I should have gone to New York or Milan or Paris. But I got into film, and I got to work with some of the most amazing human beings in the world, the most amazing creative forces, and I learned so much. And it fuels me. It fuels me because my desire isn't to change the world. My desire, to be really frank with you, is to be a better person. And I believe from me being a better person, I can change my environment around me to be a better place. I don't want to, honestly, Ren, I can't change anybody. I don't have that it's not possible for me to do that. Who I know I can change is myself. So I think as being a creative force, we've done a lot of self-discovery or journeys into other realms or dimensions or mythological or magical or spiritual, whatever it may be. And you discover and you realize a lot more, right? You've grown from every, not story, but not every sentence, but from every story you've written, right? You've seen an evolution.
Oh, absolutely. And something I guess I can also share with your viewers today is an interview I saw with Salman Rushdie.
I'm gonna go there.
Yeah, if those of you who aren't familiar with Salman Rushdie, he writes a lot of different things. He writes thrillers. He likes political pieces. And yeah, Salman, S-A-L-M-A-N.
S-A-L, sorry.
Yeah. And there he is. And the interview was asking him, like, what are you working on right now? And this interview was probably 2 years ago.
I recognize him. I've seen him around, yeah.
Yeah. And they asked him, like, well, what are you working on right now? He says, right now, I can't work on anything. He says, but I'm making myself push forward. And they're like, well, why can't you write? He says, because right now it's a really scary place. He says, when I write things, it comes from a place of hope. It comes from a place of aspiration and inspiration. And the idea is every book has to make me a better person. And that's the I have to focus on the most when I write. He says, but right now, he says, I've been so afraid and so despondent that I haven't been able to write. He says, and once I realized that it was coming from my exposure to what's going on in the world,
yes,
it changed the way I have to think about writing. Now I can't just write about making
that's interesting
better. I have to write about the hope I have for the world I live in as well as what I write.
Yeah, I see that in Wikipedia. He writes about politics and religion and.
He had a fatwa called on him. Actually, I think he's had a couple of them called on him because he's written some bad things about bad people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things that kind of inspired me to get back on the horse and start writing again, because I can't just wait around for myself to feel better about the world. I can't wait around for other people to feel better about the world. I have to keep writing because that it has to start somewhere. It has to start from me wanting to believe again, wanting to hope again, wanting to be optimistic about the world. And if I can use that to channel into something else creative.
Right, exactly, absolutely.
Then that is something that people can look at and go, okay, well, if this Yahoo over there in Washington State can do it, I can do it too. So,
right. Well, so Ren, tell us, what's the future hold for Ren? As we end this podcast and this broadcast right now, in this episode, what is the future hold for Ren Cummins? And you've written almost 13 books, right?
Yeah, and I'm working on 3 different projects right now. I'm working on book 3 for the current Dead Man series. It'll be called Sea and Shadow. I have a weird sibilance thing for the series.
Yeah, I like it. You've got from Steel and Sky to Sun and Stone.
And then to Sea and Shadow. I don't know why. I have a thing for S's right now. I don't know. I'm also working on a collection of short stories about an apartment building that's full of mythological creatures. And just a low-rent apartment building, because what can they really afford? And I'm also working on a follow-up to a series of short stories I did a few years ago, a retelling of the story of Peter Pan, but this time from Captain Hook's perspective.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
And you've started that, right?
Yeah, we wrote, me and another author named Carrie Callaghan, we wrote the first 10 short stories introducing this world.
Okay, is that copyright? It's
okay. Published. You can find those as well on Amazon.
Okay, so great, because I don't want to put that because that's a great story and that's a great concept. You share your trade secrets with us, and
I don't want to give away all the recipes. Yeah,
and the IP isn't protected. Great. Okay, so anything that you've said is all I can get my hands on it. It's not intellectual property, right?
Exactly.
Only because I know this business and I care about you, Ren, and I want to see you succeed. That's why I'm doing this podcast. Okay, Ren, thank you for your time, man. It's, do me a favor, let me know when number 3's out of the series of Tales of the Dead Man. I think it will be fascinating and good. And then I'm going to delve into this when I can. I've got a lot of books I've got to read through, but please forgive me. I'm more interested in your beautiful mind than I am in anything else, because that's my real journey in life is self-mastery. And I think writing a book or making a movie or having a business, creating wealth, I'm talking for ourselves, for me, for you. Your wealth is not my wealth. My wealth is not your wealth. I think it makes us all a better place because it makes us interdependent. Instead of dependent on the system, you eventually from your books, Ren, will become interdependent. And that's really the goal of this channel is I want to create wealth, health, and happiness.
That's fantastic.
Ultimately, that's in a sense freedom. Do you know what I mean? And that's the hero's journey.
Well said, man. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ren.
We had talked sometime too about my robot book, because that I think is something you'd be interested in too.
When is that coming out? That's out today, right?
I've got the first draft done. It's gone through a couple of edits. I'm waiting to see what I want to do with it at this point.
Bring it on. Do me a favor, bring it on. And let's do a launch as well. So when you've got that thing published, let's do launch and push that. And please, guys, do me a favor, crush the like button, hit the bell, subscribe to the channel, reach out to Ren. Ren's just a creative force. He's part of our Star Wars culture and our upbringing and fan base and so forth. And I love you for your time. Thank you, Ren.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Cheers, buddy.
Take care, man.
There you go, Ren. We're done, my friend. Did you like that?
It went too quick. The time passed way too quickly.
That was an hour, buddy.
Are you serious?
That was exactly an hour, man.
I could have gone another 2 or 3.
Okay, good. Hey, well, Ren, maybe send me some more of your books, and then that way we can talk about them, because most of the time people just want to be entertained. Hear me out. Just hear me out. I'm just being transparent with you, please. They'll buy a book, but most of the time they want to know you. They really want, how did you come up with the content? What did you do? Because people that enjoy your journey, they want to know the source. Everybody wants to know the source. So me give them access to you helps you sell your books, of course, but helps the readers as well.
You know, it's funny because I do a lot of book shows and conventions. And when people come by, I mean, it depends on the convention. Like comic book conventions are a bit tough because people are there to look at pictures. But like book conventions, sci-fi conventions, they walk up, they'll pick up one of the first covers that draws their eye, and they'll be like, tell me about the book. Oh. And what they want is they want that experience. They want to be able to go home and go, yeah, the author signed it. I actually talked to him, and this is a really cool idea, but the guy is cool. Like that is what I came away with all those experiences is always knowing that they're not just buying the book, they're buying the people.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Your first 1,000 fans are your biggest and best fans you'll ever have. Yep. Look at Ron Howard movies, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Steven Soderbergh, Quentin Tarantino. We love their movies, but we love the filmmaker. Yep. Books, Daniel Steele. I know he's not a writer. He's a very old school guy, but you know, I grew up because of my mother. Unfortunately, she had a strong opinion in my life. Daniel Steele books everywhere. So in my mind, Daniel Steele, great storyteller, great writer, but I learned from that. And lately, besides John Logan, he's got a new TV show called Penny Dreadful. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes.
I'm a big fan of John Logan.
Love that.
I almost had a chance to produce his first film. He doesn't know this, but like 15 or more years ago, he had a movie called Bats. An agent submitted his movie to the director I was working with to direct the movie Bats. And I said, let's do it. It's Bats. It's crazy. It's nuts, you know. And the director at that time, young kid, very, very, very well connected in Hollywood, said no. Well, fast forward to present day, the guy that wrote Bats, John Logan. And John Logan today is so big and so amazing. And look at Spectra. I mean, we can go on and on and on about his credits. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, I love his work, but I love the person behind the work.
Yeah, there was an author I worked with for a while. She was doing primarily erotica on Amazon because it sells quick and cheap, and you just make hand over fist and cash.
Serious? Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh yeah, I didn't use my actual name for that. I used
fictitious.
Yeah, I don't want somebody who picked up my young adult book, then going to this other book and going, "Ooh, mom, what's the word penis mean?" Like that.
Yeah.
but she asked me a few years back. She's like, what do you really want to do? Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I had just started compiling information on the robot book that I told you about.
Nice. Okay.
So I didn't have a clear outline for it. I didn't even know what the main character looked like, or I didn't know who the bad guy was. And so, but she says, listen, if you don't know what you want, she says, I want you to do nothing else. Don't write, don't read, just think about where you want to be in 5 years. I want you to visualize it. I want you to just imagine every possible detail. And I couldn't figure it out. Like, I was like, well, I want to do books. And I was like, I didn't know. So all of a sudden, after about 6 days of this,
right.
I have a dream where I wake up in an office. I've got an iPad in front of me, and my personal assistant is there. Like, Mr. Cummins, we have to go check on wardrobe right now. I'm like, and I have no idea what's going on.
That's awesome.
Like, I kind of knew it was a dream, but I didn't know what was going on. And so she starts walking me through the back lot of the studio. We check out wardrobe. We check out some of the model makers. We look at previs, and then we go to the storyboard room. And I'm looking at the wall, and I see the entire story fleshed out of this robot book.
Got it.
And I'm like, what the? I'm like, oh, I got to remember this. I got to remember this. I got to remember this. And so one of the guys is like, sir, would you like to take a look at the main character? I'm like, yes, I would. And they show me some of the previs images of the main character.
I know previs. I see around the previs campaign. I know exactly what previs is. Digital storytelling.
Yeah. And so they show me the main character. They show me some of the set designs they have. And then like, okay, here's the villain. And they show me who the villain is. And it wasn't what I'd expected at all. So I'm like, I see all this stuff, and they tell me what's going on, and then they close it, and I see on the front cover, the title is Automata. And I didn't have a title for the book yet. So I'm like, okay, so now I know what the title of the book is. I woke up, wrote all of this stuff down, and I called my friend immediately, and I said, okay, I know what I want to be in 5 years.
Got it.
I want to be a producer on a film about these stories.
Autonomy, is that what you wrote? You wrote what you dreamed about?
Yes.
Even the antagonist?
I hadn't imagined who the bad guy was yet. All I knew was the main guy was a robot, and I had a joke in my head that, he worked for customer service or something, because why not put robots as customer service agents?
Dude, but then they know everything. Customers, they know everything. Oh my
God.
Yeah.
And so it just exploded from there. So I wrote the whole thing. So the whole book is finished. I've been talking with Marty about possibly publishing as well, even though it's not really aligned with most of the books they publish. We have a subgenre publishing imprint called genre punk, which is focusing on all
that kind of sounds cool. That sounds rad. Yeah.
Yeah. So it focuses on all of these other like my stuff, which is it has pirate elements, but it's not a pirate book.
It's very anarchistic almost, because punks need to exist, but yet they think they can exist on their own, which they can't really. So you've got this amazing book that you want it to exist, but really cannot exist on its own.
Exactly.
But I like the genre punk sounds cool, man. So it sounds cool. It's like Diesel. The brand Diesel with the Mohawk guy. They had a Mohawk guy, the main character, the brand Diesel. It became a really big brand that took the Mohawk punk away. You just said Diesel.
I have an.
Everybody starts as a rebel. That's a rebel brand that you're creating.
I have a diesel punk book. I have in the back of my head that I'm going to start working on at some point. I'm doing me and Kiri, the woman who did we did the Peter Pan books on. We have a 4-book series that we're sketching out now as well. Totally different than all the rest of the stuff.
Well, we should talk about this again. We can. So let's interview probably the next 2 weeks if you don't mind. Do me a favor, go ahead with that book, because that was something that I'd love to share.
Okay.
So if you can, maybe you do it to genre punk, or maybe it's to Marty. Remember, what you have to remember, Ren, this is about you.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't take action, and if you don't do what is the best sense for Ren, you're not going to succeed, because internally whether it's right or wrong. Yeah. So you need to decide, because it's ultimately your choice. And then whatever the consequences are, whether good or bad, you reap those rewards. And I believe they'll be good, because I don't believe you have bad intentions.
And even if it's something like you wanted to do a special just talking about the writing process.
Great, let's do that. Okay.
Like you could even open this up to your viewers and say, hey, submit your questions. We're going to talk about how to write books.
Awesome. Okay, we'll do that. Ren, we'll speak very soon. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This has been a blast.
Oh, man, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.